Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome to West Side Meetup, hosted by WNN Properties. If you don't know, my name is Brandon Rabe. I'm a full-time investor. Actually, yeah, I just left my job last month, so I get to do this full-time, and I also do mentoring full-time. I'm an advisor with WNN Properties and co-host of this meetup, along with some other networking events here on Oahu. So I just want to honor you guys' time, get this meetup going, and bring on our other co-host here, Rod Baker Jr. What's up, Rod?
What's up, everybody? All right, let's go. So, we believe time is your greatest asset, and we all want to thank you guys for joining us this evening. So, first, let's go over some housekeeping rules. So, the first one is that this meeting will be recorded and posted online. So, if you wanted to watch it again, missed it, or if you wanted to share it with a friend, it will be posted online. Second, I'd like to ask everyone to please mute your mics to minimize distractions for our guest speaker and for everyone else. Third, if you have any questions, please post them in the chat and we'll get back to them during the Q&A portion of this presentation. And lastly, please stick around. After this presentation, we are going to have breakout rooms to do some networking. And this is the last one this is a disclaimer. So all this information that you hear on this presentation is for information only. My name is Rod Baker. I still have a W-2. I am currently investing in the Midwest, growing my portfolio. And I'd like to bring on my extremely handsome co-host, Gilbert Coloma.
Right on, Rod. Thank you for that. But yes, thank you for the introduction, Rod. That you caught me off guard there. Unbelievable, Rod. But anyway, my name is Gilbert Coloma. For those of you who don't know who I am co-host of West Side Meetup, as well as Real Estate in the Park, alongside Rod Baker and Brandon Robbie. So check us out on Instagram for future events. But a little bit about me, for those who don't know, I do invest in the Midwest, specifically in the Kansas City and Kansas markets. Growing my portfolio to, gain passive income to hopefully retire sooner rather than later. I, just like Rod Baker, hold down a W-2 job while investing, as well as being an advisor with WNN Properties. So if you guys are wanting to know more about what WNN Properties does, contact one of the advisors with WNN Properties. But tonight, the reason why we're here is to learn a little bit about tax liens, and I'd like to go ahead and introduce Mr. Josh Knisley. Josh.
Hey, good evening, everyone. I'll start sharing my screen just to give a quick bio or intro. 1 second, share. Hopefully you're seeing the tax yields front cover of the PowerPoint. But just in terms of investing, my wife and I started flipping houses here on island in 2018. We've done about 3 a year. We're not the type that does 100 or 10. We're good with about 1 a quarter. 2022, we concentrated on building our passive income portfolio with buying short-term rentals and long-term rentals on the mainland. And I was also able to retire from my W-2 job after 29 and a half years, which allowed me the time to investigate, other asset classes and other types of investing, which this tax yields falls into. So real briefly, my goal, I can spend hours on on tax yields and tax liens and all the information you need, but I just want to be able to show that can you earn interest or passive income through tax lien investing sitting here in Hawaii, just using your computer? Yes, you can. And so I'm going to provide a little background with definitions and what the different types of tax yields, and then do a demo to actually show you how to do it. Do I expect you to, after this, be able to do it? No, my recommendation would be to invest in education and so forth, just like I did. So let me know, I'm going to go to presentation mode. Let me know if you guys, what you guys see. You see the tax yields? Everybody seen it? Good. All right. Disclaimer, just like what was said before, I'm not a financial advisor, not even a tax lien expert. I've just educated myself and am able to show some things. So take that, this is not financial advice to you. All right, so really want to start with the definition of tax yields. There's four types of tax yields, and I'll briefly describe them and then dive down into one of them in more detail. So, and then so you'll see the color coding. I'm going to talk about tax lien certificate states, tax deed states, hybrid states, and redemption tax states. And you see the color code here, and I won't go over that. But what's a tax lien certificate state? Basically, the process there is someone's late on their property taxes. The county imposes a tax lien on them. Then the county makes that tax lien available for anybody to buy. And then the county starts paying them interest on that. So there's two ways to get paid back on that. The owner pays their tax liens down, but they pays their taxes, but they have to pay you what on the tax lien certificate you bought plus interest based on the state's interest level. Or after a redemption period, you can foreclose on that property, force it to go to a tax deed auction. Tax deed state is technically the same. The county imposes a tax lien, but they don't make it available for anybody to buy that tax lien. They keep it and keep the interest going during a redemption period, and then they foreclose on that property and make that available on a tax deed sale. A hybrid state does both, and we're going to concentrate on my demo. I'm going to concentrate on the hybrid state. Now, redemption tax state, which just FYI, Hawaii is a little bit different. It's like a tax deed state, except when the property goes to a tax deed auction, you can get that property at a tax deed auction or win, but you technically don't own that property. You don't go on title until that county's redemption period is over. So it gives time for the owner can actually come pay down and pay that tax or that tax deed plus interest back and get it back. So you technically own the property, but you don't. Whoa, was that me? Sorry, I hit Siri by accident. Texas is a good example of that. And I'll talk about their percentages, but they're a redemption tax state, tax deed state. So if you win a property at a Texas tax deed, the redemption period is only 6 months, and Texas imposes immediately a 25% interest on when you get it a tax deed. So the owner not only has to pay you back the amount you paid at auction, plus they have to actually pay you that 25% right up front to get that property back. So depending on what you want to do, if they haven't paid their taxes for 7 years, the odds of them in 6 months paying the taxes and plus the 25% interest is low, right? And I'll talk a little bit later about there's two ways to do tax lien investing, in my opinion. There's the passive income way, which I'm going to concentrate on the most, which is buying tax liens, waiting redemption periods, applying for tax deed applications, but you have someone else buy that property and just pay you back plus interest, right? So you just gain that county's interest. Or if you want to be more aggressive and really go after properties, then that's a different tactic. And a redemption tax state would be an example of that. I'm not that up on Hawaii because I haven't concentrated on it, but I believe Hawaii is a redemption tax deed state. I believe the redemption period is 1 year, and they have not had a tax deed auction. I know they didn't in 2021, and they did not in 2020 or 21. I don't know about 2022, and I don't know if they'll have one in 2023. Usually, the tax office puts out all the properties that are going to go to tax deed in April, and they have the tax deed auction in May. So just putting that out there if you want to start looking at that. One thing I want to emphasize is we're talking about property taxes. So the offices that you're dealing with are county and bureau level, right? So every one of these little square, for example, there's 3,100 of those across the United States. So you're dealing with these little boxes that you see on here. You're not dealing with the state, you're not dealing with federal, you're dealing at the county bureau level, right? So, and every one of them has different rules. So if you really did into this, you gotta You got to pick a place, know that county's rules, and be smart and do your due diligence. All right. Just some quick definitions. What's a lien? It's a legal claim against a property. High priority liens must be paid. And I'll give you examples of those. What's a tax lien? It's a high priority lien based on unpaid property taxes. Why do some states put tax liens out for auction? They want the money now. They don't want to wait for somebody to pay their taxes. They want the money now. It's worth it to them to pay interest on that money so they can put that money against, what the county pays for, education, transportation, infrastructure, and all that. And tax liens are mostly superior to other liens, but not all. That's the next slide. I don't know if this is an exhaustive list, but it's probably a pretty good list. You don't want to go after a tax deed or a tax lien property that has these other liens or things against it, because if you get that property at a tax deed auction, now you are liable to pay, responsible for these. So like any real estate deal, and I'll go into a little more detail on that when I do the demo. You got to do your homework, you got to do your due diligence, you got to make sure you're not buying a tax lien for a dud property. But these are examples of liens that are superior to a tax lien. So just be aware of that. I talked a little bit about this already. To me, there's two types of tax lien investors. There are those that are going after tax liens for the high interest rate return, more of a passive approach. In my demo, I'll show an example of that. It's relatively simple. You can do it remotely, and there's pretty good returns. I've given the states that have the highest return on this list. You'll see Florida is 18%. Yeah, so these states, these are high rates of return on tax liens and tax deeds. So these are obviously focal points for people that are investing in tax liens. What's the opportunity? There's lots of numbers out there you can pull from, Google, New York Times, whoever, but there's millions of dollars in tax liens and tax deeds out there for the taking if you do your due diligence and if it's something you want to go after. The 2019 quote on this slide is $15 billion nationwide in property tax delinquency. So that's $15 billion that an investor can go at either the passive route or go try to get properties. And like I said, there's two ways to profit. Earn guaranteed double-digit returns from the county on your investment, or go after a property, foreclose on it, and try to get that property for pennies on the dollar. What I'm going to concentrate on, this is mostly for tax lien states or hybrid states, are over-the-counter tax liens. So what that is I talked about a tax lien state. They'll impose a tax lien on a property. They'll have a tax lien auction for investors or anyone to buy, so they get their money. But at a specific tax lien auction, not all the tax lien certificates are bought. There's thousands left over. So those go into the over-the-counter pool. Once they're in the over-the-counter pool, you're no longer in an auction setting, you're no longer competing, you're no longer bidding. They're just there to point and click on the web and buy. Right? That's what my demo is going to concentrate on. So it's just an easy way to invest in tax liens, or a relatively safe, nothing's foolproof, right? Relatively safe way to invest in tax liens. Nationwide, the owner catch-up percentage in all these scenarios, tax lien, tax deed, or whatever, there's always an opportunity for the owner to pay back, the taxes owed plus the interest owed. So that's the owner catch-up. For vacant land, owner catch-up is about 60 to 70%, where they catch up and retain that land. Single-family homes, a lot higher. At the end of the day, people come and try to save their home, and they'll figure a way to pay those property taxes down plus interest. So a 95% return. So the reason that's important, is some people get starry-eyed and go, "Oh, I can get a big property or a big value property for nothing if I do this tax lien thing." The odds of that probably low. just because of the owner catch up and the competition for that. Not that you can't do it, not that it's not an investment strategy, but just trying to make people aware that it's not as likely to happen as some people think. All right, so I think I'm doing pretty good on time. I should do this about 10 minutes. So I'm not gonna do a demo. Like I said, my goal is to show people that you can actually buy tax lien certificates. You can actually apply for tax lien applications online. And I'm going to show you how to do that. What I'm going to concentrate on is Florida. Florida is a huge state where tax lien investors are running to. There are a lot of tax lien education organizations out there. I went with, I'm not saying they're the best, but I went with United Tax Liens. Good coaching, not that expensive, good tools. Ted Thomas is a big guru in this area. You can apply for his coaching and education. There was actually a tax lien investor guy. I can't remember his organization. He was here on island just last month. He went 7 different places on island and give demos of the same thing. Gives you some education. You got to pay him for education. You got to pay him for his tools and all that. So there are definitely ways to go get education and get access to tools. I'm not proposing one over the other. I will say that I went with United Tax Liens, very happy with them. Everything I'm showing and everything I learned is from them. None of this is on my own. But if you look at all those gurus, Florida is a huge state. They all talk about Florida. Why? 18% return. And in some cases at a tax deed auction, they'll throw an additional 5% on the owner at the end of that. So it becomes a 23% return. It's easy to apply for tax deeds and foreclose. Everything's public record online. Due diligence is relatively easy, and I'll show that. Huge market, and there's tons of inventory. But like anything else, once you get your education, you gotta choose a county you want to invest in. Do county research, and not just Florida, right? Choose a county and a state you want to invest in. Do the county research. Contact those tax collectors, those tax assessors, those treasurer offices. They'll give you lists most of the time for free of anything you ask for. But in this particular case, the demo is going to be on Florida. Some tools you'll see me use during the demo, I just want to touch on them real quickly, is I'm going to use Lien Hub, free, anybody can use it. Real Auction, also free, anybody can use it. It's probably a little more powerful than Lien Hub, but I myself have not spent time on it, so I'm not going to pretend to know about it. And then Netter Online is a great tool, where I'm going to show you how to use it. If counties have digitized their public records, you can access it on Netter Online. It's really cool. I'll show you that. And like with anything, you have to go into this, that if I'm applying if I'm buying a tax lien, if I'm applying for a tax deed application, I may actually get that property. So is it a property that I actually want? What would be my exit strategy if I actually get that property? So, you want to make sure you are working with developers in that area. I use Property Edge Pro, which is, I think, proprietary to United Tax Liens. It's a great tool to look at for comps, better than Zillow or anything out there. You can, and that. So I think that's enough. I'm looking at the time on the demo, so I will jump to the demo. So let me get out of this. How do I do that? Anybody questions so far while I transition to something? Okay. So, can everybody see the Lien Hub thing? Okay, cool. All right, so I'm using Lien Hub. Like I said, you can use Real Auction, but I'm using Lien Hub. I don't know if Lien Hub is specific to Florida. It may be, but I think it is specific to Florida. So if you're going to other states, other counties, you got to figure out what tools are available to you. So I'm going to sign in. It's going to be a lot of access to my information. All right, so I'm going to hit select a county. So you can, like I said, it's at the county level. If I go to each one of these counties, they're all going to be different. So you would have to set up, if you want to invest across these counties, you have to set up an account with every county, right? So the one county I've invested with is Charlotte, so I'm going to pick that. I'll go to my portfolio at the end to show you some things, but I'm going to go to purchase county held tax liens. So I click that. So I can filter. Is this in the way down here? Yeah. And move this over here. Hold on a second. Yeah, I'll move that away. You can do all sorts of filters on tax years you want to look at, purchase amount for taxes over. I don't know if you see my mouse, but on the left side, you can filter on assessed values of properties you want to look at, and a whole bunch of other things, right? I'm just going to start with no filters, and I'm just going to, and what I've done so far is, if you look at this, I don't know if you're seeing that. Okay, let me get out of the way. So if you look at the purchase amount, this would be the purchase amount. Actually, there's an account number, a tax year for that account number, the certificate associated with that tax year, the issue date, the expiration date, blah, and the purchase amount. So what I've done so far is I've gone for the $300, $400, $500 level tax liens, because that's usually vacant land. Vacant land, like I said, there's less chance that an owner will redeem on it if I actually go through a tax deed application. And if you do your due diligence, you can find buyers or developers in the county you're working with that if you get that vacant land, you can sell it for $25,000, $30,000, you know, to a developer and make some quick cash. I'm going to randomly pick one here, and I'm actually going to pick a higher value one because it might be a more interesting property than a little sliver of land somewhere. So I'm just going to randomly pick one. I'm going to pick this $15,000 one down here. It brings up this information. The information I want from here is the account number. So I'm going to double click that and save it, or copy it rather. And I'm going to jump to Netter Online. Like I said, this is free, publicly available. I'm going to go to the public records online. I'm going to pick Florida. I'm going to pick the county that I'm operating in, Charlotte. I'm going to pick the Charlotte tax collector. Go to data online for the Charlotte tax collector. I'm going to enter that account number that I copied from Lien Hub. Click on that. And it's going to bring up some information. I hope, eventually. Great.
Well, that, oh, there we go.
There we go. Okay, so there's some key things here. The tax liens go back 7 years. So you're going to see 7 years worth of tax liens against this property. The key here is, and what you want to learn from this page is, one, right up front, never add to cart or buy from here. If you do it here, you're basically paying that owner's tax property for them. I'm going to show you where to go actually buy the tax lien. So ignore that add to cart. This is just to gather some information. So if I were to apply for a tax deed, which I'll show you how to do later, on this property, you have to pay the taxes for all 7 years. And that's what this total amount due is at the bottom here. So if I want to apply for a tax deed and actually own this vacant land, after it goes to tax deduction, I'd have to pay $144,000 up front to force it to go to tax deed. The properties I've looked at, the vacant land I've looked at, is I'm paying $4,000 and $5,000, right? I haven't done big money yet, just to let you know. That's what you want to get from this page. The other thing you want to do from this page is go to the property appraiser, do some minor due diligence. So from here, you get all sorts of information. I'm not going to click on a bunch of things because I don't think we have time, but basically you go to the sales information over on the right side, and you can click on every one of these book pages, and it'll actually bring up the digitized deed for every one of those transactions, whether it was a warranty deed, whether it was a quit claim deed, who was the seller, who was the owner, and all that. So you can sort of see the process there, or see the history, look at who the current owner is, maybe skip trace that current owner, make sure there's no judgments on them, right? And start looking at those things that are superior to a tax lien. Make sure there's none of those things. And the thing you want to do is look at the map. What is this actual piece of property that I'm looking at? So in this particular case, I don't know what this is going to look like. So let's see what it is. It's actually a little pretty good swath of land. So this outlined area is that property. If I were to pay $144,000 and send this to a tax deed auction. So what's interesting about this, what was interesting about this is you have to really do some due diligence. Can I actually develop in this land? You know, I don't know what these tributaries mean. Something that is interesting in this particular case, and hopefully I can bring it up. This is particular to Florida. If you see this house right here that I'm circling, you see it has beach sand around it. In Florida, that means that house is being developed. Don't ask me why, but in Florida, when they build or renovate a house, they put this beach sand around it. So this would be an example of, okay, here's a good swath of land. And I'm even seeing some little paths, which looks like some docks to the land, to the water. That's part of that property. I see that a developer or somebody's building, right? So I may want to do some more due diligence on this piece of land and go, is it developable? Who I can go get I can skip trace and get information on who owns that developed property and find out who that developer is, contact them, ask them what they're looking for. Or do they want to develop other areas? It's just, you know, like I said, it's like any real estate deal, you got to do your due diligence and what would it actually mean if I got this property? But these are just ways you can figure out and do a little bit of your analysis and due diligence, right? You can look at all the taxes owed for 7 years. That gives you the price tag. You can look at the actual piece of property itself. You can look at previous owners, current owner, look at the deeds, do some skip tracing, contact developers, contact real estate agents. Hey, tell me about this piece of property. If I own it, what's the for sale value? Look at comps on this. You can go look at comps, all sorts of things you can do. Okay. So say I did my analysis and I want to buy the tax lien for this. So I go back over to Lien Hub. Okay. And this is the one I picked, 5721. I would go to add to cart. It would be in my cart. I would push proceed to checkout. I'm not going to because I don't have $15,000 right now to buy it. But if I wanted to, I could proceed to checkout and I could buy it. And I would now have the tax lien certificate for this tax year on this property. And I would start gaining interest on it. Now, say I wanted to force this, once I own that tax lien for that year, I wanted to force it to a tax deed auction. I would apply for a tax deed. So I'll go to my portfolio as an example. And these are current certificates that I own. You see, I already applied for a tax deed on this one from the bottom. I wasn't fast enough or paying attention enough to apply for a tax deed on this 2014 tax lien I had, and now it expired, right? We only go back 7 years. So I basically lost my $200 that I spent on that. Here are other above, these 1, 2, 3, 4 other 4 tax liens I currently own. They're gaining interest right now at 18%. I will probably apply for a tax deed on this 2015 one in May, because this one will expire if I don't apply for the tax deed. So if I were to do that, actually, let me go to I may have lost my train of thought. Let me go back to my certificates. Say I wanted to apply for a tax deed on this one. Actually, I got lost. Bear with me. Back up. Okay. Oh, yeah. So I showed you an example. Those are tax liens I bought online, just like I showed you. I just clicked the bottom. My TDA eligible certificates, let me go back here. If I wanted to buy the other 6 tax years of liens on this 2015 property that I'm highlighting here, to buy those other 6 tax years is $1,900. I could add to cart. I'm not going to, because I'm not going to buy it today. I could add to cart. I could pay my $1,019, that automatically triggers a tax deed application to the county. And so that will make them put this property in the tax deed auction list for the next tax deed auction. So what happens then? Basically two things can happen. At that tax deed auction, someone bids on that and wins it, but they have to pay me everything I paid to date plus the 18% interest. I could go on the online tax auction and buy it, and then I would have to pay myself back. And in that, I would pay myself back my tax liens and then get the property for whatever I got it at, and then turn around and sell it. Or nobody bids on it, and now I own it since nobody bid on it, without spending any extra money. So what I've done to date is buy tax lien certificates. I've sent a couple to I've applied for tax deed auctions or applications. They've gone to tax deed auction and someone else bought them. And I went to my mailbox, and one day there was a check from the county in my mailbox with principal and interest. So it's pretty passive. So this is more the passive approach, going after over-the-counter certificates. There are other, so that's pretty much, I think, the demo. I know it's super fast, and I'm sure people have a lot of questions. And I keep looking to the right. Sorry, because I'm on 2 screens, and my camera's there. Looking at this screen. Sorry about that. Let me bring you guys.
Really good presentation. Brief overview of what tax liens are. Like anything else, right? Everybody, anything you gotta learn, right? And it's overwhelming in the beginning, but it seems like you got it down packed, and figuring it out as you go. So yeah, go ahead. Are you gonna show us were you gonna show us something else, or?
No, I could,
Okay.
but no, I think due to time, that's it. Like I said, I can bring you guys back over here. What am I doing? So I can look forward. Here we go.
Sure.
Yeah, I know it was a ton of information really fast. I think my only outro is, if it's something you want to do, you got to spend time on education. Don't go off haphazardly and think you know something just after a 30-minute demo. It works. Everything I've done has been sitting right at this desk at this computer, and I've made 18% interest on my money. But like with everything else, you got to really look at it as though it's a real estate deal. So you got to make sure you're not getting a crappy property. You got to do your due diligence. You got to make sure you're making good choices. That's it.
Nice. Well, thanks for that. Was a really great presentation. We do have some questions in the chat, so I'll go line by line, and we'll try to get to them as we go here. So Rod Baker is asking, does the property have to be paid off for it to be on a tax lien?
No, if you win it on a tax deed auction, the tax lien is superior to the mortgage lien, so it does not have to be paid off.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's superior to mortgage liens, is superior to HOA liens. Yeah, so the tax, if you win at a tax deed auction, you mostly are superior to almost anything except that list of things I showed you before.
Okay.
Federal tax liens, state tax liens, if there's child support due, there is that list. You want to make sure anything you're really, depending on the size of the property, the value of the property, you may even want to do a title first, so you know that none of that stuff's there. But yeah, doesn't matter what the current owner owes to a lender or what they owe to the HOA. Doesn't matter. They're gone. It's gone. The tax deed is superior.
Nice. Next question here is from Ruben and Myra. They're asking, what are the other costs involved other than just purchase price? Then just that purchase price.
Okay, so I'll walk you through the couple what I call successful tax liens process I've done. There was the cost of buying 1 year tax lien to get in, the cost of buying the other 6 tax year liens which kicked off a tax deed application. The county sent me a letter saying, hey, we're gonna, because you apply for a tax deed application, we're gonna put this on an auction block. You owe us $200 to put it on the auction. So I sent him a check for $200. I sort of lost track of when that auction was and all that. The next thing I know, I got a check in the mail from the county for principal, interest, and everything.
Nice.
That was it. So I paid the 1 year of tax lien. I paid the other 6 years of tax liens. I paid the fee, county fee, to put it on auction. That was it. Now, is that going to be true everywhere, every county, every state? I can't tell you. You know, you got every county is going to have different rules. So for Charlotte, all I can say is for Charlotte County in Florida, that was the process.
Nice. Thank you for answering that question. So Leah has a question, is Lane Hub, she's asking, Lane Hub is for Florida. Are there other similar sites to Lane Hub for other states?
My answer will be most likely, but I don't know what they are.
Nice.
Okay. Yeah, you'd have to, like I said, that you'd have to pick a state, you'd have pick a county, you'd have to contact that county tax office, find out when they do auctions, how they do auctions, get a list of houses that are going to go on auction, get a list of their tax, you know, because a lot of these places aren't automated. I mean, you can't do it unless you're physically there. A lot of these counties in these states, you'd have to physically go to the tax county office and do what I just showed you. It's not online. Not
Okay.
automated. Florida is probably the most advanced in terms of all public records online, everything accessible, transparent, very transparent. But that's the only state I've dealt with. So my guess is some of the bigger, my guess is like a Texas or a Georgia are probably going to have the same capabilities, but I don't know. That you have to investigate that.
Nice. Thank
And
you.
I'm sure if you get in with an education company like United Tax Liens or Ted Thomas, they'll know that answer off the top of their head. Oh, you want to do Georgia? Georgia's this, right?
Got it.
I went through United Tax Liens and like I said, good organization, but they are 100% focused on Florida. They are there. Like that is the the most available, the most transparent, most public records, everything online. Everybody's rushing to Florida. So, and that's that's why I gave that demo. But if you end up getting in with some of these gurus, they will tell you state by state exactly what's automated, what's not, how to do it.
Cool.
I keep going on and on, but it's county dependent, it's state dependent, and you have to figure it out.
Got it. Thank you. Jeff and Janice, they're asking, so for that one that you shared, they're asking, why wasn't that property auctioned off by now? It's been 7 years in lien.
There's thousands of those. Thousands. So one of the I don't think I put the number up. There's so many available. There aren't enough investors to buy them all at auction.
Nice.
There's literally thousands and thousands that. So one thing. So who buys them mostly? Who are the big spenders on this? Hedge funds, right? Hedge funds buy millions of dollars worth of tax certificates, and they don't pay the taxes. They just buy the tax liens, let it accrue interest, and they wait for someone else to buy it, for it to go, or they force it to go to tax deed auction. And that's how they give their stakeholders or their people in the fund their return. Their 18-20% return is based on the county return. But so they don't they'll apply for millions of dollars of tax deed applications, And
Mm,
80% of them get, or tax liens, 80% of them get bought, 20% don't, because there just aren't enough people to buy them. That's what
sure.
turns into over-the-counter tax liens. So, so one philosophy is, oh, we're just getting the scraps then. So, my experience is not every one of those properties you're looking at is worth a damn, but they're not all scraps. There's some good stuff out there. You have to spend time navigating it, working it, and like you do any other type of real estate deal, right?
Sure.
But the short answer is, why are they not all bought up? There aren't enough people spending money on it. There aren't enough people know how to do it.
That's a really good answer, and I'm pretty sure we got like 35 people that will start diving into it soon here, with this information. And will we have time for one more question here? I'll pick Joyce's question. She's asking, what's the time frame you would get paid principal and interest for purchasing one of those tax liens?
Well, all depends which year you buy and when you apply for the tax deed application. So, one technique would be, so there's a 2-year redemption period in Florida. So any tax lien that's 2 years or older, you could actually apply for a tax deed application. So, my technique is, you saw where I bought different years, 2015, 2017, whatever. Just buy a tax year for a property that you think is worth it, and just sit on it for as long as you want until it's about to expire, and then apply for tax deed application. So the
Nice.
interest starts from the day you buy it. Right? So if I buy it, I start accruing 18%. I don't have to apply for a tax deed application on say a 2018 tax lien for 5 years, number of years. I could let it sit forever, for a very long time. Just don't let it expire, because you got the 7-year rule, right? So if you saw my list, you saw that one of my tax liens was 2015. That's going to expire this year. So I will apply for a tax deed application in May for it, force it to go to a tax deed auction.
Nice.
But the interest accrues from the time you buy it. You have years to wait to apply for a tax deed application, which then forces it to go to a tax deed, and hopefully someone buys it, or you get it, one or the other.
Nice.
Now, at any point, you say I own a 2017 tax lien that's getting interest. Another investor come in at any time and pay that down, pay me back, pay my interest, and then now I no longer have it. Then I could turn around and go buy it again. With Florida, I don't know about other states. Say I were to buy a tax lien certificate for 2017, and 2 days later someone bought it down. Now, I really haven't had time to accrue 18% interest on that. But Florida will apply a 5% interest in that short time frame. So even 2 days later, I would get 5% interest on that money.
Wow. Interesting. Yeah. Interesting.
Now, I don't know about other states, but Florida will apply 5%.
Okay.
I think there's some duration, so many months. If someone buys it from you, you get 5% because you really haven't accrued anything.
Yeah. Nice. Brandon, do you have any questions for Josh here?
I got a ton of questions, but I don't think we got enough time tonight. So I got a lot of value though from your presentation, Josh. I'm gonna have to rewatch the replay, just kind of going as you went step by step. And then I'm probably gonna hit you up later on, which we're gonna go into our investor spotlight segment, but we're gonna circle back because I want to get your contact info, Josh. And I'm sure other people want to get in touch with you as well.
I did throw my email and phone number in the chat right at the beginning. So
awesome. Cool. Well, we'll circle back one more time just in case some people came on later.
Yep.
Right on. Okay, so now I get to go into our investor spotlight segment, which is basically where we get to hear from up and coming investors about their journey in real estate and what they're currently working on. And tonight we get to hear from Leah Antonio. So she is a mother, she's a nurse, an active investor with properties here in Hawaii and out of state. So I have the privilege of working with her. one-on-one. And now you guys get to hear from her directly. So Leah, I'd like to bring you onto our investor spotlight.
Okay, hi everyone. Like Brandon said, my name is Leah. I'm from Maui. During the day, I do real estate investing, and the nighttime, I work at the hospital as a nurse. And then in between, I'm a wife and mom of twin boys, and I do the WNN mentorship. So basically that's life right now. My journey began like in 2021 when I was like in the middle of the pandemic and just taking on all this overtime at the hospital and never seeing my kids and just basically a burnt out nurse. I had this plan that I was just gonna put choke money into my 401k, and I was gonna in 10 years buy this rental property that was gonna help me retire and like live a good life. But basically the pandemic changed that. The stock market started getting junk, and then I started being like, I started thinking like, I cannot wait 10 years. What if I wait and then there's no social security, or my 401k is gone because the stock market is junk. I mean, it's supposed to come back, but anyways, I just started following all of these other moms on Instagram that are in real estate investing, Zasha, Tereva, and basically it was like, I can start now. And so 2021, my goal is like, I'm going to buy one property a year for however long I can. And I buy this rental property on Maui, and I'm like, okay, I don't really know what I'm doing. I find this property, but I'm like, okay, let's rehab it, make it all cute. I spent choke money on it, like new cabinets, new tile, like not even thinking about really anything, but thank God it pays for itself and it cash flows. But basically at the end, I realized I needed more guidance. I cannot be just spending money like nothing. So in 2022, I joined the WNN mentorship. And so Brandon, I get hooked up with Brandon. He's my mentor. And he starts talking about all of these foundations like ARV, comps. And I'm like, and he's like, do market research. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I don't know any of this. I don't know what is ARV? What are comps? And I'm like, market research. Yeah, Bigger Pockets said that KC was a good place to invest. So that's why we're doing it. But and then I start looking at the houses in Kansas City, and I'm like, well, they have foundation issues and basements. Like, we don't deal with that kind of stuff. Like, now, what am I getting myself into here? But 3 months into the mentorship, I'm like, I gotta go check this place out. So with WNN and a bunch of other investors, we go to Kansas City, and you guys, I seriously was expecting it to be like 8 Mile in Detroit, and it was not. So I was like, yes, okay, this is a good place, but still I'm clueless. I'm like, okay, and super uncomfortable. I haven't put in my first deal yet. I mean, I don't even have a realtor. Like, I'm like, what is going on? But they have a good team over there. They've got home inspector, they've got realtors, contractor, they had a lender at one point. And so it was kind of like, okay, like there's a good team. I get hooked up with a realtor. I'm going to put in my first offer. Super uncomfortable. I put in that offer and it gets rejected. But this trip, I came home and it pushed me to keep going. And eventually I get another project under contract. Well, this seller doesn't want to negotiate because it's got foundation issues, and I get scared and I cancel that contract. So end of 2022, no property, no private money. What am I doing wrong? And so Brandon and I have this discussion, like, what's going on, and basically he kept pushing, and I needed to refocus on my goals. I needed to refocus on my whys, and I pivoted and got PML and got my first out-of-state property. So I'm like, yay, okay. Well, 2023, start the BRRRR process, right? And my goal is one property a year. So I'm like, well, let's start looking for that property. But I'm like, I start getting scared, like start thinking like, how much is my rehab gonna cost? So I kind of have this ballpark figure, but what if they find out more things? And now that I have a PMO, how am I gonna pay them back? I gotta save my money, like, you know. And I start telling myself, oh, I'm just gonna wait till like Q2, Q3 to buy this new property. Then WNN has this vision workshop, and they're like, where does your life look like 10 years from now? And I'm like, you know, I start writing things down, go through the workshop, and I realize my one property a year goal is not going to produce this life that I want in 10 years. So I reevaluate my goals. This year, I'm like, hey, I got to get a duplex single family home. That's my goal. I don't know how, but I'm going to do it. And because these are my goals. So basically, I pray about it, but I'm super uneasy. Like, I even get to the point, and I think a bunch of you or some people were on the call when I was like, I don't think I'm worthy enough to even call myself a real estate investor. Like, I only have one property, you know, but I pray and I have this dream, and then everything works out, and I wake up feeling so much better. So fast forward, I start putting out offers. I get 2 duplexes under contract, and I go through inspections. I'm like, oh, okay. One of them looks good. One of them has foundation issues. So I move forward on one, and then I cancel the contract on the other, kind of just basically waiting it out. You know, maybe I can buy it later or something. And basically that's where I'm at. You know, just like trusting the process and just still figuring it out. But I don't have all the answers, and I, you know, get very doubtful at times, but surrounding myself with this community and having this mentorship, and it's just, you know, helping to keep me going. And so that's kind of, for those of you just starting, that's kind of what I want to share with you, is trust the process, because it works. Like, a lot of people, it's working.
Yeah, thanks for that, Leah. And, you know, what if you were talking to a brand new person, or maybe to yourself 6 months ago, what would be one lesson that you've learned in the process so far that you would tell that person?
I would say to keep, like, you get scared and you get doubtful, but keep, everyone says take action. And as a new person, I was like, oh, I am taking action. Like, you know, but keep going, just keep pushing through it, because as you keep doing it every single day, or as you keep grinding, it'll happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Mhm.
Right on. Thank you, Leah. Well, hey, you know, I know you inspired a bunch of people here on the call. And if anybody wants to get in touch with you, what's the best way that they can contact you?
So I'm on IG as Leotard45, but I think I'm going to change my name, because Leotard was because I thought it was a retard, but I'm not a retard anymore.
No, you
So,
definitely are not. So, okay. But for now,
for now,
Leotard45, right?
Leotard45.
Okay, awesome. Everybody, if you're not following Leah, go ahead and give her a follow on Instagram. Go connect with her, and stay in touch and get inspired. So,
Yes.
right on. Thank you, Leah, and thank you for coming on to our investor spotlight. And before we wrap things up, we got about 2 minutes left. I'm not sure if Josh is still around. I don't see his camera on. Hey, Josh, right on.
I'm here. Yeah.
So really quick, you know, thank you again for hopping on to Westside Meetup, talking about tax liens and investing in that. It looks like there's quite a bit of interest and people do want to connect with you. And do you mind just really quick throwing up your contact info in the chat one more time, just so that everybody who came on late could get your info?
I'll do it right now.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And by the way, for everyone too, we do have a meetup roster that you can fill out and get in touch and connect with other people here on the call, because we are about to go into our breakout rooms next, but you may not be able to meet everybody. So the meetup roster is just your opportunity to fill it out, let people know what you're good at, what is a need that you have, and maybe somebody on the call is able to support you. So go ahead and fill that out. It only takes like 30 seconds. All righty. Cool. Well, we got 1 more minute, so I'm going to try to wrap things up really quickly. Thank you again to Josh Knisley sharing about these tax liens and Leah Antonio coming on for our investor spotlight. As far as upcoming events go, we do have Real Estate at the Park here on Oahu that myself, Gilbert, and Rod are going to be co-hosting. It's going to happen on April 7th, Friday, 6 p.m. It's a different time, 6 p.m. out in Waiau District Park, which is also a different location as well. So if you are not already following us on Instagram, we tend to promote it there. So make sure you follow myself, Rod or Gil, and any of the other advisors for that information. And also, tomorrow, actually, I'm going to be holding a free webinar for new people that want to get started in investing. It's a 90-day cash flow challenge. So you can go ahead and register on Facebook or on Zoom. I'll actually throw the link in the chat as well here. And then also on April 26th, we have next month's Westside Meetup. That's going to be happening at 6 p.m. Hawaii time. Make sure you register for that. And then on April 30th, we have the Q2 For Real Estate Conference titled Mommy Style. So you can get your tickets. They're available right now at tarotpatchcollective.com. So the links are all in the chat. You can go ahead and check that out when you have time. And like Rod was saying in the very beginning, we have a Facebook group. We have an email list. If you're not connected there, go ahead and check that out. Get connected, stay plugged into the group. You'll get all the reminders. You'll get some offers and get some updates of everything that's going on within Real Estate at the Park, Westside Meetup, and WNN. Now, don't go away. We're right about to jump into our breakout rooms. But as far as our presentation hour goes, that's all I have for you folks. So on behalf of myself, Rod, Gil, and WNN Properties, thank you for joining us. And let's go into some breakout rooms.